just going to read them as written. So, alphabetical order, Bryant DeLong is currently serving in his second term as member of the North Kansas City City Council. While on the City Council, he has taken on roles such as council liaison to the Parks and Recreation Board, mayor pro tem, City Council Planning Commission appointee, and served on the Bike Master Plan Committee. Bryant has also taken on many leadership roles in the local, state, and federal level while representing North Kansas City. The Missouri Municipal League, he was Board of Directors in 2020, Resolutions Committee member 2017 to 20, designated certified elected official Budget Committee in 2020, and the Board of Directors Nominating Committee. He was on the National League of Cities Transportation and Infrastructure Services Federal Advocacy Committee 2018 to 20, First Tier Suburbs Council member 2018 to 20, and First Tier Suburbs Vice Chair 2019 to 20. In addition, Brian has been active with many local organizations, including Climate Action KC. Outside of City Council, Bryant is currently Senior Associate of State Street Bank in their Global Transaction Processing Division. Prior to his current work, Bryant worked at Continental Airlines, working as a fleet service agent. During his time with Continental, Bryant served as the MCI shop steward for the Teamsters. Bryant currently lives on Fayette Street with his wife, Anessa, and their 2 children. I got that same message. Let me see. Okay, so Joe Gower sent me a message. Joe, if you're listening, since I have your text right up in front of me, Jay, can you go ahead and say something, and we'll see if Joe can hear you. Oh, very good. Bryant? Okay. Let me just find out. Okay, so what I'm going to do, he's messaging me back. That's good. Still muted for you guys. So let me see. And my tech guy is not here. It shows that you shouldn't be muted. Okay. I know it does. That's the bizarre thing. And it's exactly as it was for that. Let's try that. Okay. Let's see. Okay, let's try this one more time.
All right, I'm back, and I'll talk for a minute to see if that has solved any problems.
Um,
Can't tell if it is. I think there's a pretty good lag there from what I can hear on the
I can
computer.
hear you again.
I can hear you.
okay, so if Jesse
Sounds
or
like we're getting word that that worked.
Joe and Jesse, is that working? Can you hear all three of us?
Now,
Now we're finished.
now we can't hear Mindy.
We're almost there. Is she on? Or is she?
Yeah.
I see her. Oh, yeah,
Can you hear
she's
me?
moving. I just can't hear her. Can y'all hear Mindy? You can?
Okay, how is that?
Yay!
There
There
we
we
go.
go.
Okay, we're working. We got it. Woohoo! It's all fixed. Fantastic. So,
All right.
without further ado, I'm going to introduce Jay's bio, and then we will get on with the questions. Okay. There's a little bit of an echo, but I think we're going to be okay. And then Jesse had a good suggestion since I did take my headphones out, if we could each mute when we're not talking, if you'll be responsible for muting yourself, then that may reduce some of that feedback. Okay, Jay Swearingen is an Army veteran and earned his Master of Public Administration degree and has worked for or with 3 different cities. Jay led the downtown economic development initiatives in Bay City, Texas, and Irving, Texas, before being asked to lead the effort to repopulate the commercial area of the downtown Oklahoma City, devastated by the bombing of the Alfred P. Murrah, I hope I said that right, federal building. During that time, Jay focused his attention on business retention and recruitment, historic building preservation, and neighborhood walkability. Jay has led or participated as staff liaison in hundreds of meetings of city councils, planning and zoning commissions, preservation boards, and parks boards. In 2010, Jay was elected to represent North Kansas City in the Missouri House of Representatives. During his time there, he is most proud of 2 pieces of legislation he was instrumental in passing. One was the well-deserved naming of the pedestrian and bike path across Heart of America Bridge after one of Kansas City's most active and accomplished champions of hiking and biking trails, Mr. Bob Watts. The other was legislation halting the pending sale of North Kansas City Hospital to a private buyer while establishing a fair and equitable relationship within the stakeholders of the hospital going forward. While in the legislature, Jay served on 3 committees important to North Kansas City: local government, economic development, and tax policy. Jay also served as executive director of the North Kansas City Business Council, an association of businesses similar to Chamber of Commerce, organized to work and collectively to better the North Kansas City business environment. Jay is an entrepreneur with his real estate broker's license, a certified home inspector, and authorized real estate instructor in both Kansas and Missouri. Jay and his wife Valerie were inaugural members of the North Kansas City High School Hornet Hive Booster Club, with Jay serving as vice president. Jay and Valerie are the parents of 1 recent Northtown graduate, 1 freshman at Northtown, and 1 8th grader at Northgate Middle School. Jay and Valerie and their kids are consistent participants in Northtown charitable events and volunteerism. Whew. You guys did good on your bios. I feel like I know something new already. It's hard with everybody muted. We don't get the laughs.
We try to keep it. I try to keep it clear for you. I cut a bunch of stuff out. I said I'll make this easy.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to jump right in with the 3-minute introductions. Bryant, you're going to go first and just let people know who you are and why you're running.
Yeah. No, first I want to thank you, Mindy, and everyone that helped, put this together. It's an important forum for everyone to be able to, hear our various opinions and know where candidates stand. So, thank you and everyone else that's, listening. That's helped you along the way here. Also want to take another second and thank you for some of your other recent efforts. As we got you helped establish that warming center up at City Hall, and I really appreciate that because that was something that we got to help our most vulnerable, and you were there to help step up amongst a group of people, and I really appreciate your work on that, and I think we've now set a good baseline for where we need to be in the future. So I want to take a moment to publicly recognize you and thank you for your work there. Going backwards now, I'm Ward 1 Council Member Bryant DeLong. I live at 2316 Fayette with my wife Vanessa and my 5 and 6 year old. And I'm running for mayor because I believe I can lead North Kansas City forward as we continue to build on the progress we've made over the last several years. And as I talk about moving forward, we need to make sure we are a city where everyone is welcome and everyone can enjoy the same opportunities. Our city government should work for everyone, not just some people. Serving on council, I gained the knowledge and relevant experience that is necessary to be a successful mayor. And that knowledge has come from my dedication to taking every opportunity to learn everything I can about municipal government. I have several priorities, including better communication, collaboration, streetcar expansion, safe streets, equity and inclusion, and sustainability, just to name a few. You can find out more about those priorities if you want by going over to my website, www.bryantdelong.com. And I will stop here so we can get to Jay and then get on to what people probably want to hear, which is question and answers. Thank you.
And Jay?
Hey, Jay Swearingen, thanks again, Mindy, for doing all this. And man, that's a lot of work. You've been doing a lot of stuff over the last, 6 months, but really in the last 13 days, getting everything accomplished that you got accomplished, pretty incredible. Thanks for inviting me to this Facebook page. This is kind of fun, and I appreciate doing this. So, yeah, I hope over the time you're going to realize that I am singularly prepared for this job. This is what I've wanted to do. I got my master's degree in public administration, which is the degree that you get when you want to run a city with the goal of being a city manager. That's the reason I got that degree. But then I got into more of the economic development side. And so for the next 3 cities, I was doing economic development, which is much more of a, not a generalist, but more specific in one topic. And then pretty soon I didn't have the specific knowledge, the overall general knowledge of city management to get back into it. So I never made it back into city management. So this is my opportunity to finally come full circle and do what it was that I wanted to do. So, I've made a lot of connections here. I know, the governor of Missouri and I served in the Missouri House of Representatives together. I know served with 3 or 4 of the members of the Kansas City City Council and the Clay County Commission. I made a lot of those connections, and I can hit the ground running and just start moving things forward. Led teams, I've had payroll, I've had employees, so I know what it's like to step in, work with the municipal employees, because I've been a municipal employee many times, and hit the ground running as well there. I look forward to doing it, and I also look forward to getting started with the questions, like Bryant said. So let's go.
Fantastic. I'm going to change my timer. So from here forward, thank you both for those introductions. It's so hard when we're all living such busy lives to be able to truly get to know everybody the way that we would like to. So this is very helpful. Going forward in the question and answer section, each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer each question. And we will start with Bryant and we'll alternate between the candidates as we proceed through the questions. Are you ready? Question number 1 is, how do you plan to have residents involved in decision-making when you are mayor? Bryant?
Oh, yeah, sorry, that was me. Okay, I am unmuted. Okay, there we go, good start. So really 2 major themes for me. It's gonna really come down to communication in our boards and commissions. And so I'm committing to do several things right now. I want to have a State of the Union for the residents. I want to do frequent town halls, as well as make sure I'm having several formal and informal engagement events. And I think this will give residents plenty of opportunity to both hear what's going on, as well as give me an opportunity to hear what people feel about that. I believe our mayor has the largest megaphone in town, and it needs to be used. And I plan on using that. I really feel like that's what we've been lacking the last several years. Sometimes when there's that communication gap is those sort of channels and lines of communication. So that's what I plan on doing on the communication front. On boards and commissions, we need to really pay more attention to how our boards and commissions are being appointed. We need to balance our individual boards to make sure they match the demographics of our city, because that's another way that you give people a voice in the city government. Looking at some of our boards, I think Ward 4 is not even represented on 2 boards. So it's demographics as well as wards, making sure that we have a solid balance all the way across to make sure all wards' voices are being heard and all people's voices are being heard. and also along with that, on boards and commissions, I want to make sure we bring more awareness to our boards and commissions. If people don't know what they do, they're not going to apply. So let's tell them what they do. Let's tell them what that true time commitment looks like, and just give people more knowledge. The second is actually communicating vacancies. Right now, I don't know if anyone knows what vacancies are out there. I don't, and I'm on city council. It's hard to follow. So I think all vacancies, there should be a post out by the city informing people what the position is, and along with some of those things I just said before, a description of what that board is. And I also want to make it easier for people to apply. Make sure there's an online application process that's easy for people to apply, more transparent, and also commit to working with city council and making sure we can find an appropriate balance when it comes to our boards and commissions. So I think that's definitely two important ways to try to increase the communication level and connect more with people. And I also think, the recently formed Equity and Inclusion Committee is also going to be looking to contribute to the solutions there. And so that was one of the hopes when we formed that committee.
Thank you.
Time?
It was time.
That was fast.
That was time.
Man, I can really talk for 3 minutes.
And Jay, how do you plan to have residents involved in decision making?
Yeah, there's not going to be a whole lot of difference here. I've done it before, though. So when I was in the state House of Representatives, there's a big disconnect between the residents and the state government. And so when I was a member of the House of Representatives, I created what I called, if you remember, J Cafe Friday. And so I would get back from Jefferson City on Thursday, and then every Friday morning, I would have J Cafe Friday down at, it was called the North Kansas City Cafe. Mo used to run it. It's gone now. But every Friday, I would have people come in and they could just say, I would tell them what happened, that week in Jefferson City, and then they would tell me any issues they had. So I've had, dozens of people that would come through that J Cafe Friday. So I think I'll probably do that again. I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to do that at. So if some of the restaurateurs out here want to make a pitch for their place, maybe I'll do it there. That would be fun. If I win the election. But at the city level, that's a lot easier, right? It's much more difficult to get connected at the state, but the city level, it's so much easier because we have those accessible city council people, right? I mean, we know where Bryant lives. I know where Jesse Smith lives. I can go knock on his door. I've got his cell phone number. It's posted on the city council website, right? So it's a lot easier here, and we have the ability to. Like Brian said, if we can just educate our residents on what is available. I'm knocking on doors and people would say, yeah, I'm interested in the city. And I go, great, you should be on a board and commission. They're like, what's that? And I said, well, we've got different places that citizens can be on the boards and commissions. And they're like, what? And I say, planning and zoning, for example. And they'd be like, oh, I don't know anything about planning and zoning. Well, that's sort of the point, is that we want the citizens that don't particularly know about planning and zoning so that we can get ideas from all different walks of life. And so that would be a great opportunity to get people in. And it's what's great about local government is that we can do that. And ultimately, since I'm going to be doing all that walking, I might also need to do a lot of walking. So I walk around Mackin Park twice a day. So I think I'm going to make it to where you can schedule time and we'll walk around Mackin Park together and you can have a walk with the mayor. If I win, of course.
And thank you both for your answers. I think it's important as an educational point for our residents to understand how Missouri has set up boards and commissions. That is a responsibility given to the mayor to appoint to boards and commissions, and then city council either approves or disapproves. So that is a really important topic for mayoral candidates, because they're responsible for those people that get put into place to guide our parks department, our streets crew, how we develop our streets and what development happens. That comes from those mayoral appointees to those boards and commissions. So thank you both for your answers. So this is kind of a fun question, and we'll start with Jay on this one. It's a two-parter. It's, what do you consider priorities for North Kansas City, and what's your vision? Where do you see North Kansas City in 20 years?
So I'll start with the priorities part. And of course, first of all, the mayor's priorities are what the city council tells the mayor their priorities are. But if the council's coming to me looking for leadership on what the priorities are, here are mine, not in any particular order, but The first, I think we have a real value in Northtown in its walkability, and I want to make sure that we maintain that walkability. Right, there's in the 4 different cities that I've worked in doing economic development, it has been that walkability is the holy grail. Right, how can we get places that you can live and go eat at the same spot? And you know, in Northtown, with a few exceptions, you can live almost anywhere in Northtown and walk to a restaurant and get something to eat, and a grocery store and the movies and a doctor's office and go to the dentist. And that's something that a lot of people seek out. And it's something that we have and that we should cherish. And we want to keep that moving forward. Second priority is that balance between businesses and the residents, right? Because they often have competing interests, and they're all going to grow at the same time. And so we need to make sure that the businesses understand what the necessities of living in Northtown involve, and the residents need to know what running a business in Northtown involves as well. Third is safety. I think we are going to grow and get more and more retail for sure, entertainment for sure, probably nightlife. And with that nightlife is probably going to come some opportunities for people to do nefarious things. And so safety over the next several years is going to become more and more important. And we need to stay in front of it now and put the infrastructure in place and make sure that our police officers know how to interact with all types of people now, so that we don't have a problem later on as we become a more active district. And then finally is our financial security, right? Harrah's, for example, has been declining steadily over the last several years, and maybe it goes away. Maybe the world changes and Northtown changes. And are we financially prepared to handle significant changes like that? And that's something I'd like to get into as well. So those are my 4 priorities. I probably took up all 4 minutes on that. What's it going to look like? PID is going to stay the PID. Yes, we're going to have some functional obsolescence of the buildings. We're going to have to tear those buildings down, but I'll bet it's going to be built right back up with businesses and buildings doing exactly the same thing. So I don't think the Paseo Industrial District will change much. The avenues will continue to see more remodeling, which I think will increase home ownership, because the landlords will see that they can sell that property now, take the proceeds out, and it's likely to sell to a private person rather than another landlord. Downtown core will continue to become more entertainment and food and retail. With that is going to bring, a lot more people. We need to make sure we have that buffer zone between the residents and the businesses. Very, very important, because I know that as soon as we get active and have more nightlife, the citizens over there on Clay and Erie and Fayette and Gentry, just south of 23rd, are going to start getting a lot of that noise and stuff. City View Apartments, in 20 years, they're going to start to decline, probably not be as lovely as they are now. And I'll bet in about 20 years, we're going to start looking at bids for some redevelopment of that property. Harrah's, Cerner, the hospital, it's too up in the air. There's too many factors for me to really make a guess of what's going to happen over there. But I can guarantee you that I'm going to stay in touch with the hospital and Cerner and Harrah's to make sure that we're doing everything we can to keep them. And I'm sure I'm running out of time.
Well, actually, I went ahead and reset it for another 2 minutes. So, Bryant, that's perfect, because I really wanted both parts of that question answered. So, Bryant, that gives you a total of 4 minutes to answer both parts of that question.
Okay. I mean, I'm kind of working them together here. In 20 years, what I hope to see is the success of the work we're doing now. And I think that's always what you strive for when you work on something. So, and I believe that you're going to see a more connected, a thriving city with a robust Main Street that'll really be a destination for people where they want to go. You go to a movie, you grab dinner. We have some of that now, but people want expanded options. People always want more options. So bring more options. Retail is hard, but if we can get more retail, let's do it. Let's really make it a place, you can shop, eat, drink, go to the movies, have the entertainment. So that's what I want to see. And I hope you'll be able to get here on the streetcar. So add that on there too. And one thing I hope we do get, though, is more family entertainment options. As we get more younger families moving into the neighborhood, that's one thing you definitely see that's lacking. So going forward, the city needs to be more intentional on that. So I guess I'd mark that as a priority, and something I hope to see accomplished in less than 20 years would be, more family entertainment options. We go to the theater a lot, but sometimes you quickly after that, you run out of things you want to do with the kids. So definitely we need to hit on that. But I think we look back now and look at some of the projects in the last 20 years, and you look at Northgate, City View, the Gardens, they've had positive impacts on the city. And I believe the developments we have going on now, I think we'll be able to look back and say the same in 20 years. I don't know if this floats the rules here, but I was going to touch on one thing he said with Harris was it is not a debate style. But one thing he said to Harris, we do have to watch on the revenue. He's correct about that. And right now there's a Senate bill going through that introduces slot machines basically anywhere that has a liquor license. And the potential impacts on that could be up to 20% hit on Harris revenue. So that is definitely, I mean, I'm glad he brought that. That's something we have to watch and be cognizant of, because it's closest this year than it's ever been. And so that's a concern, but I know that wasn't the question, but yes. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Wow. We're all learning something tonight. I had no idea. So Bryant, we're going to come to you with our next question. What standards do you support to ensure the development choices don't financially harm our residents or raise the shop rents and burden small businesses and increase property taxes? Loaded question.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Unmuting helps. That was continued development, right? Yeah. So I guess I was kind of confused. I mean, was there a specific development attached to this? Because it's just in general.
I'd like some clarity on this question as well about where.
I think that the question was posed because the development choices that we have impact our city infrastructure, water, emergency services, all of that. The surrounding areas, if the property rent for commercial properties gets raised, that can be harmful to the business. So what is your view on ensuring that we protect the property taxes, the business owners, the burden on them, and any pass-through expenses that residents would have to pay for from those developments? That's how I understood the question.
I guess I'll try to kind of tackle it. I believe all the developments that we've had that are going on right now really are going to have a positive financial impact on the city. Therefore, I see it as more a benefit to residents, not necessarily a burden on the residents, because that'll put more money in our coffers that help pay. But yes, something you brought up there on the back end is we do have to make sure that we have the capacity to expand in the way we're doing. And so far, everything I've seen is we do have that capacity, whether it be, public services, water, sewer. I mean, everything I've seen that says, on that side, we can handle that. So really having more money in the pool, various tax abatement deals, but a lot of them will end up putting more property tax in to the city, as well as on top of that, the sales tax. Because there's some good statistics I've seen out there that, that show how much money in sales tax is usually generated out of some of these multifamily developments in the city. And again, I'll go back to Main Street again. We want to support these businesses, and you need people here to support the businesses. So I really see these as more of a positive to our Main Street. I mean, if we want a thriving Main Street, we have to make sure they have the traffic necessary to sustain them there. And I think that really puts that really drops it. I don't know. I'm thinking through the negatives here. We do need to make sure as we go forward on developments, we do need to make sure there may be a couple more in the pipeline. And I would guess as we go farther into the future, there may be some even go south of Armour, just like you recently saw the bowling alley proposal, because there are some property owners looking to sell. And if we do that, if there's any subsidies, we need to make sure from now on that we're having more affordable housing, because prices are creeping up, and you don't want to get to a point where you go past the point of no return, because once that happens, there's no drawing it back. So we need to make sure you add more affordable units. I'm trying to think on the sales, on the property tax aspect. I mean, that's definitely important. A lot of seniors, people on fixed income, having their properties go up too fast, that really puts a burden on them. I know, again, there's some state legislation filed again to try to reduce that tax burden on seniors. And I'm not sure if that's something we can do as a locality, but something we should certainly look into. And that's off the top of my head. That's all I have. Sorry.
Jay?
Yeah, it was. I wasn't exactly sure where the question was coming from either. Maybe it's talking about, tax breaks for development. The good part of our city is that, or maybe it's not the good part, but but we're landlocked and we're mostly developed, right? We don't have big swashes of open land where someone's going to want to put a big factory out there, and then the city's going to have to run electricity and water and everything like that. And so most of our development, most of our empty land now has been taken up, or at least we know what's going to be built on it in the very near future. So a lot of our new development is going to be redevelopment, right? A building that has outlived its usefulness, time for it to come down, and another building, hopefully of better value, goes up. But to the larger issue of tax abatements or the city participating in development, I'm okay with it in a lot of cases, because there's the people that are going to benefit from the development. I think it's okay for them to participate in funding that development. And if building an apartment building that's going to put 400 new people right there in our urban core, they can then walk across the street and grab a burger and grab a beer and go to the grocery store and go to CVS, and they're going to spend all that tax money, and the sales tax will go to the city for sure. A lot of that sales tax is going to go right into our coffers. Then I think the city is going to be a big benefactor of having those apartments there. And so I see that it's okay for the city to participate in that building. Now, that's where the mayor and the city council, we have to determine that, right? We call it the but-for test. Will this project happen but for the tax abatement, right? And so we have to say it's not going to happen if we don't give them a tax abatement. Therefore, we're not going to have that development. Therefore, we're not going to have those taxes. That's a tough decision to make a lot of times, is proving that the only way that thing is going to come is if we give them a tax abatement of some kind. That's a difficult task to determine in many cases.
Tough question, because there's lots of ways to interpret that question, but I think between the two of you, I think we got all facets of what the answers could be answered. Thank you. Jay, this one comes to you. What is your opinion on the light rail streetcar expansion to North Kansas City? And in your view, what is the cost benefit analysis of the streetcar coming our way?
Yeah, right now the cost benefit analysis would be pretty tough, because it's going to be an expensive thing to build. And if we want it and we tell people that we want it, then they're going to say, great, pay for it. If we wait for a while until they have to put it through Northtown, it's probably going to be a little less expensive for us, right? I did this very project when I was in the downtown Irving, doing their downtown economic development program for Irving, Texas. I was there at the exact moment that the city of Dallas was putting passenger rail all the way up to the airport, and that passenger rail went right through our downtown. And so I was at the table with the then mayor of Irving, and we were there to protect Irving's interests to make sure that it came through. So I'm going to be, if light rail happens in the next 8 years, I would be shocked that we have to have this debate. But if it happens on my term, I'm going to be well prepared to go through that process and negotiate our terms.
Bryant?
The short, yes, I'm for it. You may have recently seen I filed a resolution showing our support and directing city staff to start developing a plan for implementation. Residents have shown support for light rail transportation into North Kansas City many years ago, and we've already had that waiting period. And I promise you, it's not getting any cheaper. Where construction costs are going through the roof, everything's getting more expensive. So if it's something we're interested in, I believe we need to jump on that now. And that approval was 7-1 City Council, with only Councilmember Stewart dissenting on that. And it's that resolution is important to show regional stakeholders that we're serious about this project and we want to get this conversation underway. And so actually, I'm excited that we're having our first work group meeting to discuss the project this week with the Streetcar Authority, city management. Got the third group. There we go. The Kansas City Area Transit Authority. There we go. There's the other one. And eventually bring in MoDOT. But we're going to take the North Rail study that's already been done and look at those cost estimates again and come in and see if it's viable. There are a lot of questions we still need to ask, and that's why I'm glad we're getting this work group up. We already have some base work, so we'll be able to use that base work to establish, can we do this? And I feel like now's the right time, as there's a lot of federal grants looking to support multimodal transportation. And with the current administration, the current DOT, there is a strong push there. So if we can get in a good position now, there may be a chance to take a lot of that burden off, Missouri or even the city, and make sure we get federal help on that. So I'm for, making sure that we get that set up now, and we got it in the pipeline and ready to go to make sure we're eligible for those grants. I not just streetcar, but also other regional connections as well. I'm not a single mode guy. I want to support them all, bring people over the bridge for our businesses again, whether it's on foot, bike, or streetcar. But I think they can all work together, and I think that just is another piece in our transportation puzzle.
Fantastic.
I panicked there for a second. You were on mute. I thought I was on mute.
No, I was on mute. We won't talk about this tonight, but there has been some recent conversation about the bike lanes be turned into alternate transportation lanes and other modes of transportation used there. So that's an interesting thought, but we're not going to talk about it tonight. Just putting it out there that there's some conversations. Okay, so Bryant, we're going to start this question with you. What is your position on more outdoor recreation areas, including volleyball, an outdoor pool, skate park, ice rink, inclusive playgrounds, adaptive playgrounds? What's your position on that?
Anything I can take my kids to and run their energy out, I'm all for. And we need more of that. And they got plenty of energy. So I've been a strong supporter of our park and rec system since I've been on council as their liaison for 3 years. And I think, the parks puts on a lot of great programs, like the concerts in the parks, as well as programs they do for seniors. And, as a city, we need to continue to support them, especially on those large capital improvement projects. So a lot of those become funded through Harris. And so continue to support them and free their budget to allow them to continue to do those sorts of programs. So yeah, it's actually funny. The only other person that's mentioned the ice rink to me before is Mayor Slater out of Pleasant Valley. He brought that up to me at another meeting I was at. That's only the second time I've seen the ice rink now. An interesting idea. I'm not sure we'd do that, but no, I'm for a skate park. I think there's a need there. You're hearing a lot of residents, and I see it on down south of 23rd here on my street all the time. The kids are always riding up and down on their skateboards. So some of those would definitely be tougher. An outdoor pool would be tougher. I'd have to see some proposals on exactly where you think the ice rink, but inclusive playgrounds, I've actually learned a lot from Councilmember Heather Hall in Kansas City, who's a big supporter of Variety Kansas City and making sure we have inclusive playgrounds. And we have a playground on Howell that's coming up on the end of its useful life. So that's, making sure we have an inclusive playground there is something we need to be looking at as we look at replacing the playground up there. And ultimately, it's a Parks and Rec decision, but I'll support Parks and Rec, if that's the direction they want to go. And, the funding they need to do that. So I would support them and that and encourage them to do that. Oh, we also left out basketball. Basketball wasn't on the list. That's another one I get asked about. Yeah, if we could find a space for basketball, would love to see a hoop around here somewhere where, kids in the community can go out and play. And I'm probably getting close on time, so I'll shut up. Thank you.
Jay?
Well, in November we could just flood that area on the east side of Mackin Park. Where the big loop goes around. We just flood that depression right there. We'd probably have a little ice skating rink there in the winter for a little while. Anyway, those decisions are the Parks Board. We have an interesting way that we set up our city here in Northtown is that the Parks Board funds itself. It actually passes its own tax and it collects its own revenue. And all of these things would fall under the purview of the Parks and Rec. Now, sometimes though, the city can get involved in something that the city would want to see happen. But I would like to see that as to make sure that if the city is going to be involved in putting one of these in, then the city is going to have some sort of direct benefit, with one exception. I'll get to that exception in a minute. But like right now, we're doing redeveloping the ball fields over at Mackin Park, and it's a group of people doing that. The city is involved. And the city's involved because if we do it right, then we have built a structure and a facility there that tournaments from all over, hopefully the region, maybe even the state, can come here to use our ball field for their tournaments. Then they stay the night and they spend the night in our hotels and they eat our food and they go play pickleball and they spend money in Northtown. And so I can see why, if the city is going to benefit, then, hey, let's put some city money into making that ball field thing work, right? So if there's some financial benefit to a skate park, by all means, let the city funds go in there and do that. The swimming pool, however, is different because I don't see how the how having a swimming pool in Northtown is going to financially benefit the city. But that's one exception I would make. I would like to see the city participate with Parks and Rec to get a swimming pool. I think it was stolen from us. You know, we had one, and they built the parking lot over there by the library, and they covered it over. And at the time, they said, "Don't worry, we're gonna get you another one. Don't worry, we'll build another one." And then they didn't. The YMCA, or at the time the community center, got built with an indoor pool, and they thought that did the deal, and that didn't do it. And then Dag Park is kind of nice, don't get me wrong, but it's not the same thing. You know, a swimming pool, a neighborhood swimming pool, is just a great place to meet and gather and play, and families can get together, and it's sunny and it's cool. And I would really support figuring out a way to have a pool there, even if the city had to put in some funds to help Parks and Rec.
Well, I will refrain from my personal opinion on that. I'm going to just, my fondest memories of my children being younger were going to the kiddie pool at Dag Park and the pool across the street, because we could walk to it, and we just had the whole summer right here in Northtown. We didn't have to go anywhere. So as a resident, I think I like where we're going, and as a Minnesota girl, I need an ice skating rink. I'm just saying, if I have any influence here. Okay, so burning question. It is coming up on the Facebook feed. Why are you doing that? There we go. The complete streets. What is your position on the Complete Streets project and where we are, where we're going with it? I think we start with Jay.
The Complete Streets. This is Armor Road. It was a complete communication failure by the city council. They had these meetings, and evidently the people that came to the meetings didn't understand what these meetings were about, because when the time came that the stuff started showing up on Armor, man, was it just a mess, and nobody saw it coming. I think it can be beautiful. I think once it all gets done, I think it can meet all the needs that they wanted it to meet. I think it can be a beautiful addition to the city. I think we just need to get it done, right? We just need to get in there and get this thing finished so that it can be beautiful, and we can show the citizens that it can be beautiful. Wasn't handled well, but I think altogether it's going to turn into a really nice project.
Bryant?
Yeah, no, during my time on council, I've been a supporter of Armor Road and defender now of the Armor Road Complete Streets project. And overall, I'm going to continue to support policy and infrastructure projects that make our streets safer for all users. That's pedestrians and families included. And I think this project's done that. I think it's made it safer for all road users, whether you're in a car, bike, on foot. It's just a safer street now. Nobody likes construction, and there's a lot of people that don't like certain aspects of the project, but we've continued to, listen to people and try to make the proper tweaks to try to, optimize the project here in the end. And so, yeah, I've been a supporter of that, and a supporter of the project that's going to be coming up on Burlington at a protected cycle track over there. A supporter of the bike master plan. I'm a supporter of the better east-west connections under 35. So we got to connect better with Ward 4, give them safer, more quality connections, and also regional connections that are, again, I love Main Street, going to support Main Street. These regional connections are important to connecting people to Main Street and getting people in our town. So yeah, all the way around support those projects, and like I said, other infrastructure projects that make our streets safer and give us a better connection.
So a couple of questions from Facebook. When it comes to the apartment complexes coming in, and I'm going to paraphrase the question off of Facebook, how is that going to impact the desire for single family dwellings, home ownership, when we're already at 80% rentals in North Kansas City? Adding more apartments is what is that going to do to the desire for home ownership, I guess, is the question. And Bryant, that'll start with you.
I'm digesting the question still. So what is that going to do to single family? I mean, I think a lot of times you're really talking about two different things. In terms of rentals of single family housing, hopefully that keeps some of those still there's a place in our market and need for that. So hopefully that helps, supply and demand and keep some of those rates low on those houses, and also encourage people to keep up their houses in a better way. I'm not sure on the correlation of the impact between the multifamily and the single family, exactly where that question's going. Was there any more to that, or is that the?
Well, there's just, when there are some studies out there about declining rents and the desire for home ownership, and people want to own homes, and we're at a premium for being able to have home ownership in North Kansas City. So adding more apartments, yes, provides more residents, but the home ownership is still going to be very difficult to acquire. So I'll give you about 20, 30 seconds to answer.
Yeah. No, I don't know. We just don't, there's not a lot of place for it to add single family ownership. So we really need to focus on the stock we have now and make sure we support our residents and make sure they're able to do the repairs they need on our current housing stock. I think that is a strong focus we need to really focus on, is making sure that people have the ability to fix what we have now.
Jay?
Yeah, I think the desire for home ownership in Northtown will fluctuate on a lot of different facets and reasons, but I don't think the number of apartments is going to have any effect on it. Yes, we have a very high home ownership, rental rate in Northtown, and I would love to see what we can do to get it down. It's going to be a hard thing to do. I mentioned earlier that I believe as the avenues continue to redevelop and remodel themselves, I believe those landlords will ultimately sell to single family owners, like the Laycocks did. Some friends of mine did that very thing. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that, and that will lessen it a little bit. But we still got a big swath of apartments. We're building more apartments, so we're going to still have a very high renter occupancy rate. But I was in Irving, Texas, and we had an extremely high rental rate. And it doesn't necessarily mean it makes the city bad in any way, right? As long as you've got good quality controls over property maintenance and all that, then a city full of renters is not necessarily a bad thing. I think what we're going to find as mayor, when I'm trying to find people to serve on boards and commissions, it's a little harder when there's a lot of transient renters, although a lot of our renters stick around for a while. I think homeowners are more likely to get involved in boards and commissions, so I could see how that might impact us. But having more apartments here, just the fact that they're apartments means more people, which means they can spend more money, which means our city becomes wealthier, which means we can put things in like pools. And so having them there is a good thing. We owned a piece of property. The city owned a piece of property, the super block, we've called it, and we owned it. We could have done anything we wanted to with it, and we built more apartments on it. That was our opportunity. Maybe we could have done them as condos. We could have gotten the same density, the same number of people, and I swear they would have sold if we could have turned those in, made them condos instead of apartments. Now the city is going to say, well, we let the developers do what they want. They said they want to do apartments. Well, I say that if we own the property, then we do what we want to do. And the developers are going to make less money for sure. They're going to make less money if they put them in as condos. Oh, there's my phone. But they could still do it. They could still make money. They're just not going to make as much as they did with apartments.
Great answers. So this one's kind of out of left field. Are you ready? Oh no. What's your favorite meal in North Kansas City? Jay?
Oh, my kids are going to hate this. You know what my favorite meal is? Oh boy, there's a lot of them. But recently we went to Hawaiian Bros, and there's this thing with Spam, and it's got rice on top of it, and it's wrapped in seaweed, like a big giant piece of sushi. And I will eat those every single day. They were so, so good. Sushi Spam. Spam sushi. I don't know. Whatever it's called.
I've never seen that. I have to check it out.
What's it called?
Yeah.
Musubi. Musubi, they said. Good stuff. Maybe not my favorite, but it's really good.
Musubi, wasabi. Brian.
Musubi didn't have wasabi on it.
All right, here we go. Wings and fries from Helen's. And I promise if elected, I will hold many meetings at Helen's. We will have many wings and pizzas and fries at Helen's, especially if it's a late night meeting, since they get the late night hours over there. So that's my spot.
That is so hard because we have so much good food here in North Kansas City. We really do. We're very blessed to have the food establishments that we do have here.
Yeah.
The only
Little
That was
store,
probably that was the hardest question of the night.
I
the
bet.
little
Too
store,
many good choices.
the little store gave me a shake the other day that had beer in it all mixed up
Beer
in together.
shake.
And I never would have thought that was good, but man, that was delicious.
Yeah, I will tell you, getting through Snake Saturday season every year, I count on my local fooderies around here to get me through because I'm not cooking these 2 weeks that ever. It never happens. Okay, so we have come to the end of our hour, and I'm going to give each of you 3 minutes to tell people anything about any topic, covered or not, that you want people to know about you and why you're running, your position on, if we didn't cover a topic. This is your free 3 minutes to pitch. And Jay, you're going to start off.
I don't think I have 3 minutes worth. I want to be your mayor, and I'll ask for your vote on April the 6th. We love being here. We've been here since when was it, Val? 2005 when we built the townhouse over there, and it's a great place to live and work and play and raise a family. And I want to make sure that it stays that way for all the generations of family. Why don't you guys come in and just make it a great place for everybody, not just my family, but everybody's family. And so I ask for your vote on April 6th.
Bryant?
There, I think we might get this done on time here. I'll be quick too. No, I think everyone's gotten a pretty good idea of where both candidates stand on issues tonight. But if there's additional questions or comments, feel free to shoot me a text, 913-636-4325, or go ahead and send me an email at bryant@bryantdelong.com. And I would appreciate your vote as well for mayor on April 6th and encourage you to follow my Facebook page or my website, www.bryantdelong.com. And then I will close with a plug to support local again. Our service industry friends have been hurting a lot over the last year. So support local where you can. You can visit nkcco.com or the River North website to find more about all the excellent options we have, including Helen's Wings. So go out and support local. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you both for taking your time this evening to share a little bit about you and your position and what you bring to the table as people go into this election. I will end this evening with a reminder that the general municipal elections are the least attended elections out of all of them, and probably the most important. And the one thing that the pandemic has taught us is that our local leadership matters. They have more of an impact on our day-to-day lives than anybody, even at the national level, just on the inner workings of what we do day in and day out. So take the time, get to know your candidates. That's why we're doing these forums and the interviews. And I just thank everyone that took the time to listen today. Bryant, Jay, thank you so much. I appreciate all of the answers and a little bit of the laughter that we've had this evening. And thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you at the candidate forum.
Appreciate you setting everything up. Thank you.